Hey, Barn Besties, it's Jen.
And I'm Sam, and this is Barn Mom Confidential.
All right, so before we get into our case today, is there anything fun you want to share or any news?
Fun or news? I'm like blanking. I'm like, nothing is happening in my life. It's just kids and Christmas.
It is just kids and
It's
Christmas.
just kids and Christmas.
So
yeah.
much kids and Christmas. We had 2 band concerts last week,
I know you guys have seen
2 horse shows so far this month with 1 more to go, and Christmas, which
and
is
Christmas.
also a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I haven't even started wrapping presents. I have forgotten about half the stuff. Like I went through it this morning and I'm like looking at stuff for you and Mom, and I'm like, oh my God, I have so much stuff for you guys.
I love that because you said, I'm not buying you anything. We
I
have
know,
a
I said
horse.
We bought a horse. I'm not getting you any Christmas gifts. Just
Yeah.
lies. Just straight up lies. Can't resist.
I feel the same. Once again, have overspent on you.
It happens every single year. It happens. And, you know, Seal was like upset because he was like, every year you say you're just going to do stockings for the adults. And then every year you don't do that. And it's true.
It's true.
I
I
told
may have
Snail-
also overspent on your son.
Oh my God. He's like, okay, so it's like, this is a good segue. So I showed Snail the little excavator digger thing that I bought him last night. And Snail was like, absolutely not.
Too late, buddy. It's coming.
He was like, absolutely not.
Well, here's the thing about that is that it's already purchased, paid for, and likely in fulfillment.
Yeah, it's headed my way. Yep.
I have festive Christmas nails.
I don't. I just got my nails done. I actually don't like them at all, so I'm probably going to have them removed and then fixed.
That's unfortunate.
Somehow. At some point, I will find time to do this.
I wish you the best of luck in that endeavor.
Yep. Do I have an hour somewhere to sneak into the nail salon?
Good luck.
I know.
Yeah. All right, should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Actually started trying to record it yesterday, and we came across the most insane thing, and we're like, no.
Yep.
We got to go deeper.
We got to go deeper.
We took a break, and now we're re-recording it, and I have to say, some of it is disturbing, and I, especially about the animal abuse parts of it, will not be describing those because it's too much.
Yeah, we just don't need to go. You guys, we feel like our listeners or audience can get a general idea of how probably bad the animal abuse is. And we're going to come across it probably many times as we delve deeper into the crime horse world. And I think just as a rule, we're probably not going to be too graphic about it because there's just no reason to do that. Yeah, we're not trying to sensationalize. We're trying to entertain, and we're trying to be the podcast that gives everybody a break from all of the sensationalized crime. So you guys are safe here. As safe as you can. I mean, yeah. We are still hosting a podcast, but
yes. Okay, so today's episode is the Candy Heiress who disappeared into silence. All right, let's get into it. So in 1977, a woman worth more than $200 million disappeared from Chicago. And that's $200 million in 1977.
She had so much money.
Like obscene amounts of money.
So much money.
No body, no crime scene confirmed, and no arrests.
Her name disappeared.
Yeah, she just completely disappeared off the face of the earth. Her name was Helen Brach. She was the sole heir to the Brach candy fortune, and she didn't just disappear from society. She disappeared from the record. All right, let's get into it. Her name was Helen Brach. She was the sole heir to the Brach candy fortune. And when you start pulling the threads of this case, what you find isn't just a mystery, it's a pattern. Money, trust, power, silence, and horses.
Yep.
Because we're a horse true crime podcast. There's
gotta
be some horses.
Look, horses are going to feature in every episode. That's the point.
As you do. All right. So this case is one of the more unsettling, unsolved cases tied to wealth, elite circles, and the horse world.
Yeah.
Before we talk about what happened to Helen Brach, we need to talk about who she actually was, because she was often reduced to just an heiress, and that misses the point. So, Helen Brach was born Helen Voorhees, born in 1911 on a small farm in Unionport, Ohio, which is probably closer to Pittsburgh than any other large Ohio cities.
Yeah, I don't know where that is.
It's a bit in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. She married her high school sweetheart at 18 and later divorced at 21 years old.
That didn't last.
Sure didn't. So she moved to Florida, and Florida became
Florida.
a place where she spent quite a bit of her time even after marrying into the Brock family.
Hmm.
But while living in Florida, she worked in hospitality. There's no real, I guess, accurate information on
Yeah.
what she did while she was working there, but she worked at a private club, and this is where she met Frank V. Brock.
You know what? She was probably like a drinks and cigarette girl
Likely,
at a
yes.
private club. Yeah.
Yeah, probably, for sure. She was doing something hospitality or service
Hmm.
related, is what
Hmm.
most people think. So, anyways, they met through this club and began a relationship and later ended up marrying. If you grew up eating candy corn, jelly beans, peppermints, and candy canes, that's Brock's Candy.
Yep.
This was a massive family owned corporation. Friends of Helen's also described her as kind and she had a deep love for animals. She did not come from wealth. So
No.
all of this was very new to her. Unfortunately, Frank passed away in 1970 at the age of 80, leaving a substantial estate to Helen. Now, he was quite a bit older than Helen because at this point, I believe she was 65-ish when he passed away.
Oh, wow.
Here we go. Frank unfortunately passed away in 1970 at the age of 80, leaving a substantial estate to Helen. Now, at this point, she was about 65, so there was quite a big age difference between the two of them.
Yeah, like a 20-year. That's significant.
Yes.
Yeah.
She did not come from wealth, as we discussed earlier, and she now found herself with this large estate, and she was ill equipped to manage it.
Yeah.
So she relied very heavily on advisors and close confidants after her husband Frank passed away and she inherited this fortune. Because she didn't grow up in this society and was new to this level of wealth, she stood out.
Probably not in a way you would want to
Not in a
stand out.
great way, no. In a way that made you look like kind of an easy target.
Yeah.
Yep. So Helen ran in elite social circles. She would go to dinner parties, she would attend events, that kind of thing. And at one of these, she met Richard Bailey.
It's always a Richard.
It's always a Richard.
It's always a Richard.
Thou must ingest a satchel of Richards.
It's always a Richard.
Indeed. So he presented himself as charming, well connected, and knowledgeable about horses. And horses in the 1970s were a common and socially acceptable interest for wealthy women. Their relationship started out friendly and then progressed into a romantic relationship around 1973, according to court records. Some sources said they met earlier through mutual acquaintances, but we'll stick with court records for this part of
Yeah,
the
that's
story.
fine. Mm-hmm.
By 1975, he was deeply involved in her life, which is where horses enter our story. Richard Bailey, allegedly.
Always allegedly, guys.
Yes, indeed.
This crime is still unsolved to this day. We don't know what happened to her. So everything's allegedly.
He was the owner of Bailey Stables and Country Club Estates, and his brother Paul sold 3 horses to Helen for $98,000 in 1975. The equivalent is about $590,000 in today's money.
$500,000 horses, and she bought 3 of them.
Sure
I mean,
did.
she's got $20,000 or $200 million, something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember the number, but it was a lot.
It's a lot.
Richard's involvement in the sale has not been officially recorded. So his brother Paul made the sale. But
yeah, but it's his brother.
I know, right? Like,
okay.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know what Dick's involvement is in this because we never got that far last night, but so he could be totally not a part of this. I'm just assuming because his name is Richard.
Yeah.
That he's probably bad news.
She also later invested in brood mares, but there's no documented price that she paid for them. Now, brood mares are
Okay. Yep. That was what I was going to be like. We need to know what brood mares are because I don't know what that is.
A brood mare is a female horse.
Mm-hmm.
Boy horses are stallions if they're intact, and geldings if they're if they're neutered. Yep. Mm-hmm. Which, ugh. That's a scene, man.
You know what? It's not my job, and I'm grateful for that.
Anyways, brood mares are the mares that are used for breeding. So
Okay. So
they typically don't ride. They're not used in any lesson programs. They just make babies
they just make the babies.
because they're good at making babies. So she invested in brood mares, but there's no documented price that she paid for them. We can assume it was quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. If she's already paying 90 something K for a couple of horses, I would assume that these brood mares are expensive.
Yeah, without a doubt. The horses she purchased were positioned as investments, and she was encouraged to invest another $150,000 in training. Helen eventually sought an outside appraiser and discovered that the three horses she purchased for $98,000 were only worth $20,000. And
Oh no!
she was
She
advised,
got cheap horses.
she sure did.
Cheap horses.
She was advised not to invest in any further training because the
Yeah.
horses were not worth it.
They just weren't going to make it to the level where she would make any money off of them. Yeah.
She went to the stables to see the horses herself, and witnesses later stated she was shocked and angry by their quality and condition.
No babies.
And while she was at the stables, she made this well known. Eyewitness accounts state that she was yelling and openly accusing of trainers and sellers of cheating her.
Mm-hmm.
Several witnesses heard she would go to the district attorney. Yep, so now she's in this position where she knows she's been duped.
That's rough.
Helen told close friends she was cheated by a younger man upon discovering a friend she knew had connections with the state prosecutors. She decided she would take this to them after her routine trip to the Mayo Clinic for just a health checkup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we're going to get into the last known moments of Helen before her disappearance. This is wild, completely wild, so hold on to your butts.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to hold my horses.
Yeah, you need to do that because, yep, okay. Actually, you know what? That's an emotional support horse, and I think you're going to need it for this part.
It's our emotional support horse. Okay.
Okay, so she went to her appointment at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. Doctors reportedly found nothing serious. She was also seen paying her bill at the Mayo Clinic after her appointment was over. She was seen leaving the Mayo Clinic and walking back to her hotel. During her walk to her hotel, she reportedly stopped at a gift shop and purchased $41 worth of cosmetics and bath towels. She told the clerk she was in a hurry because her houseman was waiting for her. There are no confirmed records of her movements after this point.
That's bananas. I mean, okay, so this is what year did she disappear?
I believe it was in 1977.
Okay, so there was CCTV. Yeah. Probably not. It's definitely not as prolific as it is today.
No.
You can't go anywhere without somebody catching you on camera.
For real.
But, okay.
Yep. All right. So there were witnesses close to her with conflicting statements. I'm going to get into those now. And they're kind of complicated, so I'm going to try to explain who each person was and their relationship with her. So her houseman or chauffeur, Jack Matlick, he was actually hired by her late husband and had been with the Brachs for a long time. So he was considered to Helen to be a very trustworthy employee. He claimed to have picked her up at O'Hare after her flight from Rochester on February 17th. However, no airlines could confirm she was on a plane, and airline staff did not report seeing her. He claimed he drove her home, where she stayed for 3 days and 4 nights.
Okay.
Her friends never heard from her, and Helen was notoriously social. She would call her friends almost every day to just
she's like a
chit-chat.
lonely widow or widow that
Calls to her home made by her friends were answered only by Matlick, and he told callers she was out or she was unavailable because she was seeking quiet and solitude. He told investigators that he dropped her off at O'Hare to take a flight to Florida, where she was supposedly to meet up with Bailey, her boyfriend at the time.
Her boyfriend. Yeah, the one that sold her the crappy horses.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, okay. So we're all following along.
Yep.
He told investigators that he dropped her off at the airport to for a flight to Fort Lauderdale at for a 6 a.m. flight. This was completely out of character. Helen hated morning flights. like hated them and would never do it. So this was considered to be very out of character.
Interesting.
As investigators tugged on this thread, they discovered there was no ticket purchased in her name for that flight.
Yeah, that's bananas because, like, that's something you can check.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
no ticket in her name for that flight. During the time period where Matlick claimed Helen was seeking quiet and solitude, he had contractors in the house and they were doing work. Sources don't consistently describe the type of work that was doing beyond painting and renovations,
Mm-hmm.
but none of these workers saw or spoke to Helen during this time. And
Yeah, but it was a big house, right?
it was.
So and that's not that unusual,
It's not that
honestly.
unusual. During the time period where Matlick claimed Helen was seeking quiet and solitude, contractors were working in the house. Sources are not consistent in how they describe the type of work that was happening beyond just painting and renovations. None of the workers saw or spoke to Helen during this time.
Yeah, and I think that's not unusual. Like,
Yeah.
that's not suspicious to me because she probably outsourced that, and she probably told whoever her housekeeper or house manager was to deal with that. So that's not unusual to me.
What is unusual is that during this time period, a meat grinder was shipped to the house.
What? I don't like that.
Mm-mm.
I don't like that at all.
Mm-mm. No, I really don't like that
I don't
either.
like that at all. No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
All right. So investigators obviously interviewed Matlick because he was technically the last known person to see her,
Mhm.
besides anyone at the Mayo Clinic, right? Matlick claimed he called Richard Bailey the night Helen disappeared, telling him to get ready for her return to Florida.
Okay, but what day did are we how do we even know what day did she disappear? Because, like, she didn't get on the flight and then he calls her.
So she disappeared on February 17th,
Okay.
77. Let me
But
just make sure
he's
I got
saying
that
he
right.
took her to the airport and now he's saying she's missing?
Hold on a second. Yeah, 1977. I had it right. Okay. Just make sure I didn't mess that up. He is saying, like, okay, so let me go back
Mhm.
and re-explain the steps so that it's
Mhm.
clear.
Yep.
Okay.
Order of operations. Yeah.
Yeah, so she was last seen at the Mayo Clinic,
Right.
which
For sure we have
for
confirmed
sure we
sightings of
have
that.
confirmed
Yeah.
sightings of that. That was on February 17th, 1977.
Mhm.
Poof, she gone.
Mhm.
No one knew. So she was also supposed to come home from the Mayo Clinic, and
Right.
this is where Matlick gets involved. He's
Right.
telling investigators after this was discovered, which, by the way, no one knew she was missing for quite some time. So, in my opinion, he's intentionally misleading investigators, allegedly,
Yeah.
but and this is what he told them, the order of operations after Helen returned from the Mayo Clinic. He
Right.
says he picked her up from O'Hare after her flight from Rochester. He also says that she was seeking solitude and quiet, and no one heard or saw from her during the 3 days and 4 nights she was supposedly back at her home in Chicago.
Mhm.
Matlick also says that she was supposed to fly to Fort Lauderdale after those 3 days and 4 nights. So we're probably
Mhm.
looking at February 21st ish. However, she never made it to the airport. No one saw her at the airport when he supposedly dropped her off.
But he's saying he dropped her off.
But he's saying he dropped her off, correct?
Okay.
He's also telling investigators during that time period while Helen was at home, he called up Matlick
Mhm.
to
The
let him
boyfriend.
know that Helen was going to be returning to Florida to see him and he needed to get ready.
Okay.
He also told investigators that Matlick was with another woman, which is why he had to give him a heads up.
Shocking.
I know. So that's so far the order of operations. Okay. During that same window of time where she was at her house before she supposedly went to Fort Lauderdale, there was also there were the contractors in the house
Mhm.
and the meat grinder showed up.
Yeah, I don't love that. Don't love that at all.
Nope. Okay. Woof. So
So when she doesn't arrive in Florida, which I don't even think she was going
she
to
was never
Florida.
going to Florida, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
he never dropped her off at
No.
the airport. That's not real.
Okay. So we have another person of interest who was close to Helen,
Mhm.
Richard Bailey,
Yeah, the
her
dick.
boyfriend.
Yeah. Mhm.
He was unable to provide an alibi for his whereabouts during Helen's disappearance.
What about the other girlfriend?
He
Anyone
says
catch
there
up with
he
her?
says there was no other girlfriend and that he doesn't know what Matlick's talking about. Sure. So this is what Richard Bailey did tell investigators. He denied any involvement in Helen's disappearance. He claimed he was not with her when she vanished. He maintained that their relationship had cooled and deteriorated by early 1977. He did not claim to be traveling with her, meeting her in Rochester, or seeing her after the Mayo Clinic. All right, so that's immediately following.
When her chauffeur and house manager called and said she's disappeared. And then the police are coming to ask Richard what he knows about her disappearance. And he's like, I've never seen this girl in my life.
Yeah, I don't know her.
I don't know her.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Okay. Now I'm going to get into some of the aftermath. I will say it took until the late 1980s for this to be solved. So I know it's crazy. Like basically there was no evidence. There were no suspects.
Yeah,
there were suspects, but like what could they do with it?
Yeah.
She just poofed into nothing. No one heard from her, left no trace. So there was very little investigators could do except question these persons of interest. However, later there were signs of nonsense.
There's already signs of nonsense. All right, Jonesy.
Okay, so later Matlick was found to have forged $13,000 of checks from Helen, and he's stolen approximately $75,000 in cash.
So he's just a bad guy. Yeah.
He also previously had a record. He had committed crimes. None of them were violent, but he was an ex-con. So that $13,000 in checks and $75,000 in cash is equal to about $500,000 today.
Sure,
so it's substantial.
Right. I mean, honestly, $13,000 is substantial today.
I mean, for real.
I mean, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 years after her disappearance, a spray-painted message appeared scrawled on a road near her house, and it states, "Richard Bailey knows where Brach's body is."
What?
Yes.
Who spray-painted that? Do we know?
We have no idea. No one knows.
That's bananas.
I know. So
this is a wild case
it's
already.
so crazy. So, like, the police aren't really investigating at this point because there are no leads and they have nowhere to go.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Right?
They got nothing. Yeah.
Okay. So Richard Bailey, after all of this, continues to swindle wealthy women after her disappearance.
Yeah, he's on to his next mark.
He sure is. So there are other people like tangentially involved in this. So I'm going to talk about it because this is really just a ring of the darkest underbelly of the horse world.
Yeah, this is crazy.
And she found herself
mixed up with the wrong people.
She
trusted the wrong people.
Did. It's so bad. So Silas Jane is another person who is somewhat mixed up in this, but only tangentially. There's no direct connection to Helen from Silas. He enters the story through Richard Bailey and the wider horse fraud network that was happening in Chicago or the Midwest at the time. He had no direct relationship with Helen that we knew of. Silas was associated with the horse ring fraud and was considered a person of interest because at 17, he was convicted of rape. And he did
That's not good.
1 year in a correctional facility. He also had very strong ties to the Chicago Mafia.
Yep. And in the 70s, man.
Allegedly. Other theories about Helen's disappearance include potentially a random stranger taking her in Rochester after her appointment at the Mayo Clinic and the Mafia. There's no proof that Helen was murdered by the Mafia or that a named mob family ordered her killing. So that's pretty much off the table. There is credible evidence that the horse fraud world she stumbled into overlaps with organized crime methods and networks.
For sure, yeah.
And you know, in the Venn diagram, there's like a bit of overlap.
There's a little
there.
crossover, yeah. That's not shocking.
Not at all. So
that's not shocking.
We're going to sidebar and talk about the organized crime of it all. All right. So in the 1960s and 70s, federal investigators documented organized crime doing the following. They used horse racing and shows to launder money.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, it's like artwork, right? Like, because you can name any price. That's why artwork is so good for laundering money, is because you have a piece of artwork and you could be like, I don't know, it's worth $1 million. You know, you get a reputable source that says it's valued at this and then it's valued at that. And it's like, okay, So I imagine horses are similar, where somebody
Much
could be
the
like,
same way.
yeah, where somebody can be like, I don't know, this horse is worth $100,000.
Especially during this time period when horse
Mhm.
valuations were like very unregulated.
Yeah.
You could pretty much say the price,
And
and
that's
if
how much the
someone
horse
bought
was
it at that
valued.
price,
Yeah.
that's the value, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot of insurance fraud, horses, barns, vehicles, you name it, arson for profit, and shill buyers and inflated valuations like we just talked about.
Mhm.
Richard Bailey's network looked a lot like organized crime and had hallmarks investigators associate with racketeering,
Mhm.
like targeting wealthy isolated victims, using
Mhm.
romantic relationships to gain trust, inflating value of assets through insiders acting as their, proof that these highly priced horses are worth their value, silencing problems, making them disappear, and outsourcing violence.
I mean, meat grinders.
I know, right? Federal prosecutors ultimately charged Bailey under RICO style theories because his conduct fit in a criminal enterprise, not a
He
one off.
got RICO'd?
He got RICO'd so hard.
That's not good.
I know, right? Because, RICO's kind of hard to prove.
It's a hard one, yeah, but if you get it, it's not good.
He got RICO'd.
Yeah, he got RICO'd.
We would cover this in part 2 because this is a completely insane story and it goes
Yeah.
so deep. So back to Silas Jane. He's the one who had close ties with Bailey and potentially the mafia
Yeah, and he's the one who was convicted of rape
at
at
17.
17. Okay.
Silas and his associates raised red flags.
Yeah.
They were never charged in Helen's murder, but they were tied to arson, insurance fraud, and intimidation in horse circles. So
Mhm.
while Helen had no direct connection with them, Bailey did.
Mhm.
So we don't know what role they may or may not have played in her disappearance. Reporting on this crime ring described a trail of violence in the Midwest horse world. This led investigators to believe Bailey had access to people who were doing the dirty work.
Mhm.
All this to say, this was not a mob hit. No mob boss ordered Helen's murder, and she did not cross a known crime family.
Gotcha. Okay. So we think Silas had mafia ties, but we don't think that those ties spilled over into her disappearance.
No, but the
Okay.
work that potentially Silas Jane and Richard Bailey did probably spilled over into the mafia world. There's no true evidence of that, but the likelihood is there. There's also
This
the
is
context.
hearsay.
It is indeed. There's also the context of 1970s Chicago that plays a role in the persistent mob angle that's
Yeah.
reported with this story.
Yeah.
There was an organized crime stronghold in Chicago called the Chicago Outfit. These were descended from the Capone era. So it was pretty serious. But
Chicago's got a history.
it sure does. But this was not the flashy mob of the New York City mob era. It was quiet, business-like, and deeply embedded in legitimate businesses like the horse world. The circumstances of her disappearance give mafia, no body, no witnesses, long delays before any reporting that she was missing, and conflicting alibis. But again, no ties to the mob, officially. Okay, back to the case. The trail went cold before investigators even got involved. They focused their early efforts on Matlick, her travel logistics, and her immediate movements after the Mayo Clinic. They did not, and I repeat, did not look at Bailey or his activities in the horse world. To them, he just looked like a bad boyfriend. Trainers, brokers, and insiders obviously had no reason to talk. Those who found themselves in similar situations were hesitant to talk because they were embarrassed and they moved in elite social circles.
Yeah.
So it's not like they wanted to admit they were taken by Richard Bailey.
Oh my God, it's like the Anna Delvey and how she just kept swindling everybody, but they were so embarrassed about the fact that they got swindled, so they never told each other, and so she just kept getting away with it.
Yep.
Allegedly. I think she went, I don't think we have to do allegedly because she went to crime, but
She went to crime. She went to
she went to
jail.
crime.
I do crime.
She went to crime, guys.
Big crime.
Big crime.
Okay, so Helen was legally declared dead in 1984, but they kept the case open because while they were not actively investigating it. If they wanted to close it, it would mean no one would investigate it. So they kept it open and it kind of sat for a while. until they began investigating the horse insurance fraud, where patterns emerged like overvalued horses, dead horses, insurance payouts, and recurring suspects.
Mm-hmm.
So the case didn't break open until the 90s when the FBI discovered a nationwide horse insurance fraud ring. This is where Silas and Richard and their connections wind up being super relevant.
Okay.
It's wild. And we're going to talk about this fraud ring in the next episode, the part 2 of this, because it's crazy. Anyways, dozens of people were implicated and informants started talking.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the prosecution took the court case against Richard Bailey, claiming that since 1989, Bailey had posted at least 26 Lonely Hearts ads claiming to be family-oriented, that he loved dancing, exercising, long walks.
Do you like pina coladas?
Yeah, exactly. Bailey was accused of seducing an alcoholic divorcee and defrauding her of $90,000 on horses, virtually all of her life savings.
Poor woman.
Yeah. So, as we mentioned earlier, they indicted him on RICO charges.
Mm-hmm.
And the backbone of the case, which prosecutors argued, and the court agreed, that Bailey operated a continuing criminal enterprise, used fraud, deception, and intimidation, targeted wealthy women, often widows, used horses and vehicles for financial exploitation, and took steps to silence threats to the scheme.
He's busy.
Helen Brach was presented as a victim of the enterprise, not an isolated case. So they charged him with mail fraud. He used interstate communications, hey Rico, to inflate the horse values.
Mm-hmm.
He used financial transactions to move money tied to fraudulent horse deals, false representations to conceal conflicts of interest. They also presented evidence of money laundering, with money moving from accounts through intermediaries, attempting to obscure the origin of the funds, and they used legitimate horse transactions to disguise criminal activity.
Right.
So these things reinforce the organized, not impulsive nature of his conduct. They also claimed that he solicited the murder of Helen. Not that he did it, but that he solicited.
But that he took out a Lonely Hearts ad and was like, hey, somebody murder my girlfriend, please, so I can have money.
Probably. So they argued that he knew Helen had uncovered the fraud because we heard earlier about how she was shouting at the stables that she was defrauded. She told her friends that a younger man took advantage of her and she was very upset about it. And she talked about going to prosecutors while she was at the stables. Like, everybody heard it.
Girl.
She put herself...
You gotta keep your plans to yourself.
Whew. Anyways, so they also claimed he knew she planned to go to the authorities, obviously, and he solicited others to kill her to prevent exposure. The way that they presented this meant they didn't have to have a body to prove the crime. So the court accepted that ordering and arranging a killing is as culpable as carrying it out.
Yeah, I think that's to this day. I think that if you say, hey, dude, go kill my wife for $30,000, and they find out that you paid a dude to go kill your wife for $30,000, you go to jail for murder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, they took him to court for RICO and for soliciting the murder of Helen Brach.
Okay.
Ultimately, he went to jail for a much shorter time than you would hope. I think he only did like 7 years.
Seriously? That's so lame.
Yeah, pretty bad. So that's it for our episode. What do you think?
So Richard. I want to make a Tommy Boy quote here, but I feel like that would not be appropriate given the seriousness of these crimes. I'm curious to find out what's in the next episode, because even though we did start this last night, this is all brand new information for me. Like, knew she had disappeared, and I knew Richard had something to do.
Yeah. So in the next part, we're going to dig in on the crime ring associated with Richard Bailey, and there are some shocking revelations. And that's
was that a pun? Shocking revelations? Because of the way that they hurt the ponies.
Oh, that's rude. Oh my God, you're bad. That's terrible.
I was like, are you trying to make a pun?
No.
Tune in next week.
Oh, I feel gross now. Why did you say that?
I think you can do pun championships.
This is the
I would
last time
like to
anyone's
do
going to listen to us after they find out what happens to the horses because
that.
you're
Sorry.
bad. Okay, so tune in for the next part in this case where we talk about not shocking.
Let's say alarming,
Yeah, okay. Alarming.
disturbing, and upsetting.
Yes. Okay, sounds good. And that's all we have for you today. So join us next time, Barn Besties.
All right. Thanks, guys.